What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to T2B Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to see daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. In this video today, I'm going to be talking about some unfortunate news related to a player who is heavily connected to the Baltimore Ravens, especially throughout this draft process. Not only because he's a former player of new Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald, but because he also fills a position of need. And after Zadarius Smith backed out of the offer from the Ravens, everyone's, I saw so many comments being like, okay, well, now it's time for David Ojabo. If you haven't heard, David Ojabo at the Michigan Pro Day suffered a torn Achilles injury. And first off, I just need to say something. If you guys have seen the video, I saw some people have been, bringing this up, but it's ridiculous what happened in this video. He suffers like a non-contact obvious injury. He's trying to like catch the ball, turns upfield, completely falls down, is grimacing in pain, and like nobody does anything. Like he's just laying there, and you just see all the NFL scouts just standing there. And then eventually the trainers run in and they are able to help him off the field. They bring him in. He gets the test done, and they're like, "You tore your Achilles." He is now expected to start the season on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. That there is a possibility that he would maybe be able to play late in the season, maybe second half of the season of his rookie year. The biggest comparison is a guy like Cam Akers, who was able to return in like 6 months after a similar injury. But this is a massive injury for one of the best pass rushers in this draft. He is arguably the number one guy outside of the tier one players, the Thibodeaus and the Aiden Hutchinsons. He had a massive jump in his play. He's an underclassman. He came out, dominated under Mike Macdonald, got I believe double-digit sacks, and now as a projected top 15 pick, honestly, he is now likely to fall in the draft because of this injury. And we've seen this from other players. Williams out of Alabama, the wide receiver, he got hurt, in the national championship. He's now falling in the drafts, and so I want to bring this up in looking at it from the Baltimore Ravens perspective. Is it worth drafting a guy that is coming off of an injury, that just got injured, to potentially play late in the season, or just not even play at all? Now, I'm not saying do it in the first round, but if a guy like David Ojabo, who now could potentially be a middle of the second round draft pick because he won't be able to contribute right away, could the Ravens go after him in the second round? Because a lot of Ravens fans were very happy with drafting him in the first round. I was okay with it. Was he my number one guy? No. I had a couple of guys ahead of him, but he was definitely someone that I'm like, okay, if we draft him, I'm all right with that. I would be very, very in favor of drafting him in the second round, because if you look at the Baltimore Ravens and what they could do in the draft, they could go out there and they could draft. I don't want to, make this about drafting other players, but drafting a secondary player or an offensive lineman or whatever it is, they could draft them because they could get a guy like David Ojabo potentially in the second round, because there are a lot of second round pass rushers that are available. Drake Jackson, now Ojabo, just a lot of guys that you can be looking at if you're the Baltimore Ravens. And so when you're thinking about that, when you're analyzing, scouting and draft profiles, coming off of an injury is serious. And the Ravens, however, have been a team that have not shied away from that. The best comparison that I can make is Hollywood Brown. He was coming off of a Lisfranc injury, wasn't able to run at the combine or anything like that. They drafted him. They had to wait a little bit, came in, had a great rookie season. And I think he's had a very solid young career so far with the Baltimore Ravens. But we look at it last year. Rashod Bateman comes in, he gets hurt, misses a significant portion of the season, misses a lot of training camp, misses the preseason, comes in, and guys, do you think the Baltimore Ravens regret drafting Rashod Bateman because he couldn't play the first half of the season? No, they do not, because the second half he came back and he was great. Like, we Ravens fans are so excited for Rashod Bateman. I think it's very unfortunate what happened to David Ojabo. You know, it really hurts to see players get injured in pro days that are supposed to show off their skills and elevate their draft stock. Unfortunately, this has definitely hindered his draft stock. However, you know, it means that the Ravens could still potentially get him, you know, in the second round or something like that. And if he goes before the Ravens are able to draft him in the second round, props to him. You know, that shows how talented he is. But I do expect him to fall into the second round. And the Ravens have so many draft picks, guys. They could trade up and get him if they feel he's not going to stay up there. But I think he could be there middle of the second round, right when the Ravens are drafting. And they could really take advantage of that. But, you know, overall, am I in favor of drafting him in the second round? Yes. Yes, I am. I think he would be a perfect selection. Would he be able to contribute from day one? No, he would not. However, I feel like it would be worth it to draft a guy that couldn't play maybe even the whole rookie year because of how good he could be, right? He came out and the massive improvement that he showed last season was unbelievable. You know, he was like oh yeah, this guy's okay, to oh wow, he's one of the best pass rushers in the country. Scouts have said that they believe that he will be a better pass rusher than Aiden Hutchinson, arguably the number one pick in the NFL draft. Now, better player, no. Pass rusher, people believe that he could be. So, I think that's worth it to draft a guy coming off of an injury like that. Now, at the same time, the Ravens do need players that can contribute right away, which is why drafting him in the second round, I think it's more worth it. But first round, don't take a guy that's going to be injured in the first round. I just don't think it's worth it, especially for a Ravens team that's trying to contend. But since the Ravens have so many picks, they can draft edge rushers in the third round. They can draft edge rushers in the fourth round. They've got 9 picks in the first 4 rounds of the draft. They can absolutely draft a lot of edge rushers and have guys like Dalen Hayes step up, guys like Jalen Ferguson, guys like Tyus Bowser, guys like Adafe Owe, and then you know, maybe a third or a fourth round player also coming in, and then eventually David Ojabo, a projected first round pick. Ravens could be able to slide him in and develop him back under his former defensive coordinator. Guys, I just wanted to make this video to come out with. I felt like Ojabo was linked enough to the Ravens that making a video about it, I felt like would be worthwhile, because he was a guy that I really liked coming into the draft and coming into this scouting process. And it's really unfortunate what happened. Especially the video, if you guys haven't seen it, those scouts, guys, I don't know what's wrong with them, because if you see a guy go down like that, you got to make sure that you're doing everything to get them help. Now, do they need to rush over and be like, oh my goodness, are you okay? Maybe not. Maybe that's unprofessional. But they should be jumping around, yelling for trainers and medical staff to come over, not just stand still, just kind of in silence. That's not okay. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Subscribe for Daily Ravens content. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the David Ojabo injury. And I will see all of you again tomorrow, unless there's Ravens news that comes out today. In that case, I'll see you again next time.